show and a place that's positive, offers inspiration, and is full of energy. I'm your host, Natalie Potts, and today I am so excited. Like, I was literally ecstatic about my guest coming on today. So I reached out to Lisa Bodenburg, who was a contact that I networked through with my coach. So thank you very much to Karen. And I mean, Lisa is just phenomenal. She's so inspirational, but I'm going to actually let her do the introduction because I think it's always key to hear it from the person themselves. Because let's be honest, we all know that we tell our stories about our lives and ourselves better than anyone can. It's absolutely fact. So I'm absolutely over the moon to be sharing this with you. A huge thank you. Please reach out to Lisa as well. Join her on her Facebook group. She's absolutely amazing on there. So yeah, I'm not going to share anything. I want you to be surprised and excited with this. So have a great day as always and enjoy our podcast. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you very much. I do appreciate your time. I'm just conscious of you really talking about your story a bit, and because I was listening to Michelle Obama recently, and she was tapping into that people connect on their stories, and it's not about you getting your story out there from the ego perspectives that we were just talking about, but sharing it so you resonate and tap into people that are feeling the same thing. I think is really important. So I know lots about you, but I think it's always nice when people tell their story. So you tell me about you as well.
So thank you so much for having me. I'm extremely grateful to be here, and I do love to share my story. And the reason why is because it can truly help others. It can truly prevent others from feeling the same pain that I have felt. And so my name's Lisa Bodenburg, but a lot of people know me by my fight name, Lisa Liberty. I'm a United States Marine Corps helicopter door gunner. I am a USA boxer, most recently fought in the Olympic qualifiers. I am an NPC bodybuilding champion, and I am also a motivational fitness and nutrition coach. So what do? I help close the gap and connect the dots between depression and how we feel and our physical fitness and nutrition. Oftentimes I see high performers not willing to speak out when they need help, especially not willing to speak out when they need help mentally. And it used to be a very taboo subject, and I think we've done a great job as a culture stopping that from being so taboo and being able to talk more openly about it. And we've saved many, many lives just by talking about it. So I got back from the wars, and I struggled with depression for quite some time until it came to a head where I almost took my own life. And I remember just feeling like the world was spinning out of control. And the only thing that I could remember feeling in control was when I would go to the gym. I knew logically, even though I was having illogical thoughts, I knew logically that every time I go to the gym, I feel good. So I looked myself in the mirror and I said, you're going to go do a competition. And I was talking about a bodybuilding competition. And I was in no shape to do a bodybuilding competition back then. But it was so important to me. I just kept saying it over and over, and I just kept reaching for the stars. So I did. I kept going to the gym. And there were days where I would only go for 10 minutes before I was in tears. And I realized it was an emotional release. So being in the gym was very much an emotional release for me. And it helped me mentally because it would release endorphins. It would release those happy hormones that would make me literally feel better. So I kept going. And the next thing you know, we're down the road about a year, and I'm feeling better, and I'm no longer struggling with suicide and depression, and I'm happy and I'm fit, and I do a bodybuilding competition. And I was just so grateful and so happy throughout the whole experience. So that's really my goal in life now. My purpose is to lead leaders in the right direction so that they can become the best version of themselves. Oftentimes great leaders get to the top by being hard workers and by grinding, but it doesn't always have to be the way. It's not necessarily the best way. So I help those leaders become top performers by truly getting down to what's real and filling in the gaps.
Yeah, I mean, there is so much there that kind of resonates. I guess my own journey, and we've spoken a bit before, because I felt like I said to you, it was really important. I positioned kind of where I've come from and things. And I never, I used to be overweight, and I always got into a career that I did very well at and kind of leveraged quite quickly. I realized, I guess, maybe 4 years ago, it was more that I was doing what other people wanted me to do, opposed to actually what was my purpose. I felt where I was really what some people would deem as successful, I didn't feel it. And I felt that there was still something missing. And that's how then coaching came about, because I loved that that side of really drawing things out from others and seeing that coaching it's within you, and just the power of asking some great, powerful, and the right questions to people can just change their perspective, and then, like anything, change their lives, if you tap into it in the right way. And yeah, I guess I was going through a scenario. I kind of split up with my boyfriend, and never been to a gym in my life, petrified me, thought that running on a treadmill was a win. And then started getting into kind of knowing more about my own nutrition. And I guess I've always been quite disciplined. I don't think motivation exists, which is a bit of a debate I have with people. I think it's pure discipline. Hence what I love about people, when I read about, like, share with you, Navy SEALs, and that real mindset, which I'd love to come on to. But yeah, I loved the space of the gym in terms of it was me, it was my time. I didn't have anyone in my ear. I was just switching off. I was kind of, maybe, like you say, you get the endorphins, but almost releasing just everything, just for myself. And I don't know that you can describe that feeling, actually. When I say it to people, I just don't think they quite get it. But I never was on a level of wanting to compete. I guess maybe that feels a bit maybe too daunting for me, whereas the photo shoots was enough for me to physically see that visual difference in my physical change and my body and stuff. That was probably enough for me. And I think that's important to know sometimes as well, that you know your limits of things in a good way as well. You don't always have to go to next thing for what others might want. But yeah, I just love that space. And I think, like you say, just tapping into actually what's my purpose opposed to what others want from me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, a couple of things that you said, I do believe motivation exists because it's usually the thing that gets someone started. Discipline is what's going to carry them through
Yeah,
because motivation wears off very, very quickly. But you can easily be motivated by a picture that you see or by me standing next to you in the gym. I guarantee I'm going to motivate you to do something. That's just who I am, it's in my nature. But that's only going to get you to start. So,
yeah,
discipline absolutely is going to carry you through because it's going to carry you through those tough days. Um, and I would caution you in the way that you talk about yourself in regards to just because I did a competition and you didn't. That doesn't mean you're not capable. You don't have limits. You can do a competition. You can absolutely go on to become an IFBB pro bikini competitor if you want to. You just may not want to. And
yeah,
that's okay. So it's not about knowing your limits, it's about knowing your desires because we truly are limitless. We can do anything we put your mind to. I am a gleaming example of that in more ways than one with both my bodybuilding shows as a boxer and as a combat door gunner. I was faced with multiple times of people telling me I can't do it, my own self thinking I can't do it, but I was also too stubborn to accept that.
mm,
So knowing that I really am without limits and so is everyone else. And that's one of the biggest things that I tell everyone and I preach all the time is you can do anything you put your mind to, and I'm here to show you how. I'm not special. There's nothing special about me. I'm a hometown girl from Buffalo, New York. I grew up in an Italian family. My father died when I was young. My mom and I don't get along. And I was kind of like the oddball out, like no special talents, nothing crazy in the family. My one brother became a mechanic. My other brother became a cop. And I'm not special at all, other than the things I have accomplished are very successful because I refuse to take no for an answer. I refuse to accept it. And everyone has that power in themselves. Everyone has that capability. They just don't tap into it. The
yeah,
first time that they fail is easily the first time that they quit. And I encourage failure. I'm oftentimes telling people to fail forward, fail fast, and fail often. It's a quote from Will Smith that I live by. And we cannot fear failure. If you fear failure, you're not pushing yourself hard enough. Because if you're not failing at what you're doing, it comes too easily for you. And it's time that you grow and expand. So that's going to come with failure. But failure doesn't mean that you quit. I failed multiple times before I succeeded. But if I had quit along the way, I would have never succeeded. So there's a difference there.
Yeah, I think, I love that as well. And I like how it always, this is what I love about coaching as well, that I never take anything, I like to think I don't take anything as personal. It's just, I always think, oh, well, I don't know what that does mean to me, or it will change the way I see things very much, and challenge a perspective. And I think that's healthy in people to have that as well. And like you say, looking at the fear of failure, I guess I always got to a point where I never felt in family that I've been brought up as you have to be perfect, or there was a pressure on me in that way. But I almost created it for myself a bit, that I never showed a vulnerable side, or there was always, people said there's always like a defense there, and you need to show more vulnerable kind of Natalie. And I always found that really, really hard, and I guess I'm still working on it quite a lot. And I guess what resonated from yourself was where you focus a lot. You were doing your 12 days of gratitude at the moment, I think, something around that. And I guess the last 2 years I focused on that. I used to write down every day 3 things I was grateful for. And then I thought, actually, I'm going to be a bit more spontaneous, like the year after. I was like, I'm just going to think of things and just do it more naturally as well. Like I try to go for a walk every morning, and I'm not big on having to meditate as such as being in that moment in a room, but I quite like being out and being in the moment, and that works for me more. So I guess gratitude's been a major shift for me in helping me be more appreciative of what I have. How did the 12 days come about for you?
Absolutely. So I am a huge proponent of gratitude. I have my clients begin with a gratitude book with 3 things that they're grateful for every day. That's a great place for someone to start if they haven't yet started with this mindset training. But when we come from a place of gratitude, we're now understanding how much we actually have instead of focusing on what we don't have. So when you come from a place of gratitude, you can literally rewire your brain to be happier. When you're happier, you're more productive and things fall into place better. So those go along the same lines of your physical fitness in the gym. You're releasing those happy hormones. That's why that's important, because of what happy hormones then do for us. So I ended up doing the 12 days of gratitude. Today is day 5 for me, because 5 days ago, I was in an unfortunate rock climbing accident where I almost died. And this isn't the first time that I have come very close to death in my life. I had a 4-hour drive home from this accident, which I'm uncertain. I probably should not have driven, but nevertheless, I just had a lot of time to think about it. And I really started thinking about all the times that I was like, wow, I should be dead right now. And the Lord stepped in, and I'm just very grateful for that. So it started my mind thinking, I am so grateful to be alive. And for someone who struggles with depression, that's not always the thoughts. Our thoughts when we are depressed are focused on the negative, focused on what we don't have, focused on, I can't take it anymore. I'm not grateful to be alive. I might rather not be alive, because then it means I have to deal with these negative emotions. So when you go through this shift of going from that to being all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful to be alive, when your life almost gets taken from you, it's so important to recognize that and the power that it has. So I wanted to use that as a pedestal to talk to others about gratitude. So I'm doing 12 days of gratitude. I can't even tell you why 12 days came to my mind. I was just praying on it, and 12 days just seemed like the appropriate time. So every day I post something, I remind everyone why I'm doing this story. I also remind everyone what I'm grateful for that day. I've chosen something different every day. And then I ask others to share what they're grateful for. And there's different levels of gratitude, absolutely. And when I was in some dark times, I could think the only thing I'm grateful for is the fact that when I wake up, I'm safe.
Yeah.
I don't have to run for my life. I don't have to find my water. I don't have to fight for food. There were so many things right there. I would wake up and I was not grateful to wake up. I didn't want to face the day. I was not grateful for the sunshine. I wanted it to be dark and gloomy because that's how I was feeling inside. But I was so grateful to wake up and I didn't have to move if I didn't want to. I could still survive and not fight off an enemy. I could still lay in my bed or turn on the television or whatever I needed to do during those times when I couldn't physically get out of bed. So just going from a complete 180 mind shift to, I am so grateful to be alive. It reminds you, wow, how powerful gratitude is. And when you change your mindset and you start to think that way, you start to see it. Yeah. So my business has flourished now that I'm bringing gratitude into my life, my happiness. I had not only my friend, but my business coach personally reach out to me and say, I'm so happy to see how happy you are. Yeah. And it's not the money that my business is bringing in. Does money create happiness? It absolutely makes it easier, 100%. Yeah. And I'm not gonna lie about that. We're entrepreneurs. One of our biggest goals is to make more money, because we know the power behind money. Money can create happiness, money can fuel your passion, and money can help you then serve others. So it's necessary, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. But her genuine care for my happiness was so vibrant. She could see it in our coaching calls. It was so tangible, even on a Zoom call. And so I was grateful for that. And I hope to be giving off that energy and helping bring a smile to everyone else's face, because especially in today, in right now on June 3rd of 2020, how insane our world is. Yeah. Who couldn't use this money? Who couldn't use a happy, a little bit more happiness and gratitude in their life?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that was that genuine part on what you said. And, I can network very well if I want to, but I'm conscious nowadays that, the older I get, that I use it for the right things and the right people that have similar stories. And I think actually that it works both ways a bit, that you can really get that relationship and that rapport. It's so important. And I'm big with this with the coaching work that I do as well. And that hit home when I was listening to a podcast on the other day about that you don't really as such bespoke your programs. It's about that you can offer the value, and having them, this is the levels that you have with that. And it's really stuck with me all week in terms of what could I do with that? How could I be better as a coach for my clients in offering, where I'm not cocky, but I know I can add value. I genuinely know that, but it's getting it across in a way that that resonates, and that they get that meaning and feeling as well, that I can do that.
Absolutely. So in regards to entrepreneurs, I'd like to remind them, because this was a lesson that I had to learn the hard way. I found myself not understanding why I wasn't making sales. And I also didn't understand why when people would sign up with me, sometimes they would, buyer's remorse, very common, right?
Yeah.
However, when I would reach out to them or try to speak to them, I was coming from a place of a businesswoman where I can't lose this sale, I can't lose this money, I need to make my deadline. That's not going to help anyone. I needed to remember why I was coaching these people. What is it that they need, and how can I show up for them? When I recognized that, and I realized, hey, I really can help you right now, and I talked about the ways I could help them. If at the end of that phone call, we realized that it was better for them to go our separate ways, maybe financially or whatever the case, then so be it. That's what's best for them. And ultimately, as a coach, that's what we want, is what's best for our client. But 9 times out of 10, when that would happen, when I would talk to them about their needs and coach them about what they needed and what they wanted and their desires, the stars aligned. They do need me. And so they were invested. But it took my focus to focus on the needs of the client and the service that I was providing to them, and how wonderfully I can help them and help change their life and add value to them, rather than, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose a sale.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Do you think that, because I was thinking about this earlier with, I guess it's the challenge that people are on. Do you think that you sharing your story, and I guess it goes back to where I was talking about vulnerability, has that helped, and has that been a challenge for you in terms of how much you share people about what's happened to you in the past?
I think especially for a topic like suicide, because it's so it's still a touchy topic, and not everyone can accept it. Yeah. And that's okay. that can be a way to polarize your audience. And most people would originally think, no, I don't want to polarize my audience, but you actually do. Because when you talk about something polarizing, you weed out the people that just aren't your people. And the people who are your people are now even more invested in you. So sometimes that vulnerability is actually not our weakness, which is what we fear. It becomes our strength. And the fact that you can stand up in your vulnerability and talk about it is a pure sign of strength on your part. And you're able to help so many other people. And that in itself is strong.
Yeah. It's scary. Because part of me thinks to myself, it's like, it makes complete sense. And I get that complete, like, it's like, yes, that I can hear that makes sense to me. But then I'm like, but that's also really scary, because I feel that I'm completely just going, it's really few people and not a lot of others. Or it is like the next step, like you say, of, I'm not sure I am the right coach for you. And let's be honest about that.
Right. Absolutely. Natalie, let me ask you a question. What do you think is one thing that comes to mind when you think about what you could share with your audience and those that look up to you that might feel vulnerable? Is there anything that comes to mind?
I think there is actually. It's knowing when you feel you're doing well, or everybody puts that pressure on you that you're doing well at something, and you know that it pays the bills and it's nice and it's comfortable and it's safe, knowing that, but it's, the reality is that it's not what your heart sings about, or what gets you up out of bed every day. It isn't that, and you're fighting to build that, and having the two running parallel. It's knowing when to take that jump. That's scary, really scary, because you've got, and it's that part of, it's like everybody says, yes, but you've got your home and you've got everything set up and it's lovely, but it's like, yeah, but it doesn't get me buzzing. It doesn't give me that tummy feeling. I'm working on that a lot at the moment, that the feeling of what it gives me. I get emotional attached to things like that. A bit like I've said with you previously, that I do, I'm a volunteer for mental health and people in crisis, because that feeling of giving back that I have, and actually I don't even have to know nowadays that I'm doing anything, just that feeling that I know I'm helping them in that moment and them saying thank you, it's like giving me $1 million.
Yeah.
But not having it. And sometimes saying that to some people, they're like, yeah, okay, they don't get it. And so I think that leap that's the scary part for me, knowing when to do it. And I think it's just being patient and persevering and believing in myself, having the right people around me, and just chipping away every single day at believing and not letting that dream go. Like you said, that we're limitless, and why shouldn't I go for what I really believe I can achieve and have in my life and do and have?
Would you rather live with the regret of never knowing, or would you rather live with the fact that you might attempt to do it and fail multiple times?
Yeah, and that's the irony. Like, when I'm coaching people, I ask all these questions, and then I have to look at myself and think, hang on a second, like, you need to revisit and do it yourself. It's hard.
Yeah, but that's why even coaches need coaches.
Yeah.
I'm a personal trainer, and I have a personal trainer.
Yeah.
I am a nutritionist, and I have a nutritionist. Yeah. I am a coach, an elite performance coach, and I have an elite performance coach as my coach. Absolutely. Coaches need coaches, because we understand more than anyone that you're constantly learning and constantly growing. And the way that human nature is we are more likely to be held accountable to someone else rather than to ourselves. We will accept an excuse from ourselves, but when we have someone else following up and asking, we know that we don't want to let that person down. So we're going to then go for it and do more of whatever the case is in order to not let that person down. Yeah. It's kind of counterintuitive, shouldn't be that way. We should hold ourselves accountable more than anyone else, but it's just not how it works. And because we know how it works, we know what to do to fix it, and we know how to move forward.
Yeah. I completely get that. I mean, I was saying earlier so I coach on a mastermind group of fitness entrepreneurs, actually, and I did a personal development with them, and I was kind of saying that sometimes there comes a point in my experience, and I'm not saying it's the same for everybody, but I've worked with people who've coached me as a PT or nutrition, and it's kind of got to a point where I felt that I need that bit more accountability in terms of, I feel that we're not so buddy friendship. You know, we absolutely have a rapport like that, but I do think that I almost lose sometimes that little bit of, I want to do it for you. And you're right, we shouldn't need that, but in essence, we also do need that, in terms of, we need that person to be saying, come on, you know, get down with it, let's get focused, let's really go for it, and you then doing it. Otherwise, I don't know, sometimes I'm in a place where I'm not sure on at the moment. I'm experiencing that for myself, because it's the first time I come across that as well, is that boundaries with that. But I do think you need someone that really does hold you to account as a coach.
Absolutely. We crave that personal connection. We crave praise.
Yes.
Sometimes sympathy. We crave emotions from other people that help validate us. So if you were to then go to one of your clients who has a problem and say to them, oh, well, you're not, you know, you're being dramatic about this. You could just do X, Y, and Z. Come on, let's go. They're probably not going to respond as well as if you went to them and said, I completely understand. I know where you're coming from, and I know why you would feel that way. And if I was in your shoes, I may feel that way as well. But here are some ways that we can maybe move past this, and you can help better yourself. So there's two different ways. You're still getting to the end goal, but the way that you handle that. And that's hard to do, to look in the mirror. You can't have a conversation with yourself. You can, but it's obviously not as effective, because we crave that human connection and contact with one another. So sympathy, understanding, praise, for coming from love, coming from other people, is extremely important to our success, to our confidence, and it's integral to our human design.
Yeah. Do you think that with being a US Marine, was that where most of your mindset and perspective was shaped, or do you think you had that from before?
You know, I really don't know, to be honest. Even from a very young age, when people would tell me I can't do something, I felt the need to prove to them that I could.
Yeah.
Even if I didn't want to. It was just something in me. Just no one was ever going to tell me that I can't do something. I'm capable just like the next person. And if I want to do it, I will show you that I can. That even through my Marine Corps career. Now, did that strengthen that? Absolutely. Boot camp totally changed me as a woman. Gave me a very strong sense of who I am and the ability to stand up for and respect myself. And from there, I guess that was kind of the recipe for, I don't know if you want to say success or disaster, but that is really fueled with, you know, pairing that with who I already was, would really put me on top, really set me among the elite, and what's kept me there. So boot camp was, I'd say the Marine Corps in general, they instill confidence, and they instill, you know, good judgment and tact, and there I can go on and on. It's core values that are instilled in you, and there's no excuse to not be an incredible human being.
Yeah.
There's no excuse, because before we go through boot camp, none of us are Marines. We're all from all different walks of life. We're all different colors. We're all different religions. We're all different races. And yet we all go through and come out the same on the other side.
Yeah.
So it's within us.
Yeah. Was that what then was a transition into working with high level executive performers now, do you think?
So that was quite some time down the road.
Yeah.
I was active duty for many years. I was injured. I had to get out of the Marine Corps. I ended up being able to go back in as a reservist later down the line after some rehabilitation. I worked for the government. I went back to college. I was a personal trainer in a gym. But all along the way, along this story, there was something that I was personally pursuing always. I'm always trying to strive for the next level. First, it was buying a boat and trying to navigate the waters. Literally, I'd never owned a boat before, and it was one of the best times in my life. Then it was a bodybuilding competition, and I wanted to see how I could bring my body to the next level. Then it was boxing, and I wanted to see how far I could go with that. Well, I went all the way to the Olympic trial. So it's always something. And along the way, I'm hearing other people like, you're pretty successful. What is it that has you successful? And it had me questioning myself because I didn't know. I don't know why. And I continue to tell other people that. It wasn't until then that the light bulb went off when I realized I started my own company, and I'm not just a personal trainer. There's so much more behind it. Do I love fitness and nutrition? Absolutely. It is the foundation of every good life. If your fitness is off, you will not be as healthy. If your nutrition is off, you will not be as healthy. If any one of those are off, you will not be as productive. You will not be as happy as you could be. You will not be as successful as you can be. So it is 100% the foundation of a good and successful life. However, during this process, I'm recognizing that there are so many other things that I want to speak on, and I want to coach high-level performers to being that best version of themselves. So for me, it's a culmination of all my life experiences, because I don't think that you wake up and realize I'm going to be an elite performance coach or an executive coach, because honestly, you almost don't feel good enough.
Yeah.
And I still struggle with that sometimes. Especially, there are times when I have clients come to me and I feel intimidated, or I feel not good enough, but I know that's a struggle with me, not with the relationship. I absolutely know that I am able to coach anyone.
Yeah.
President Trump himself, I can help him become a better. Tony Robbins might be the one that's got it on me, but I guarantee I can inspire him and give him something to think about. So it really doesn't matter who is in front of you. We're all humans.
Yeah.
And I'm constantly learning as I go as well. So that was a kind of a long-winded answer to your.
I love that honesty as well. And again, that vulnerability and just saying that you're learning. Some people can't say that, can they? Or be honest about that. And like you say, that you fail and you learn. And I'm pretty big on, when I work with people, that you can fail one time, but don't go doing it 2 or 3 times. Learn your lesson. Let's go with that. But yeah, I guess, so you just said kind of inspiration there. Who inspires you?
Wow, that's a good question. Who inspires me? E.T., the hip hop preacher.
Okay.
He's someone that I follow. I love listening to his talks. Obviously, Tony Robbins, I look up to a great deal. And I would absolutely say Nick Pigeon inspires me. She is my coach, my mentor, and my dear friend.
Yeah.
And she continues to believe in me even when I don't believe in myself.
Yeah.
But I would say in one general blanket statement, people inspire me. Everyday people have incredible stories. They may not be publicly known, they may not be out there, but there are so many wounded warriors that I have met who, they don't have arms, or they don't have legs, or they have traumatic experiences, even worse than myself, crazy experiences that they have been through, and they are mentally struggling or physically struggling, and yet they find a way. And not only do they find a way, most of those people end up excelling beyond what they were excelling when they had all their limbs, when they had all their faculties. They're now creating foundations for other people to inspire other people. So that's what inspires me, that will in other people to succeed and to never give up. That's inspiring, and I don't care who you are.
Yeah, I love that. And I guess it's recently hit me as well that, I mean, like you could say I'm young at coaching. It's been, so 2015, I've been kind of learning and qualifying everything since then. And I just love it. And I guess it's only recently, again, I always think this, that you kind of sometimes will plateau and then you'll leverage, like, and you'll see yourself leveraging, you know, and it kind of frightens you and it excites you when you're going through that stage thinking, I'm achieving a lot at the moment. And then you'll kind of go again on that plateau and it's like, but I just think recently I've just discovered that, you know, I love coaching, moving people A to B, all of the stuff it says, great. It's who I network with now. And exactly like you say, seeing people that really want to change their lives and believe in themselves and know it's not going to be easy and know that they're going to have failure and it's going to be hard, but they're going to do their, I think it's almost just, you know, what energizes them as well, and their real purpose in life. And I think there's a big thing that I've noticed around me of energy of people, how they wake up every day, how they show up every day, even if they're not feeling it. And I just think people really underestimate, people say let's be positive and everything, I think they underestimate energy completely.
Absolutely. We're the sum total of the 7 people we keep closest to us. I'm going to repeat that for emphasis.
Yeah.
We are the sum total of the 7 people we keep closest to us.
Yeah.
Who's in your circle? You know, who are you keeping around you? Yeah. Are you finding yourself talking more like them, thinking more like them, acting more like them, feeling more like them? Well, if that's the case, are they bringing you down or are they bringing you up? Are they adding value to you or are they taking it away? If they're taking it away, if they're bringing you down, it's time to reevaluate your circle. Because if you're not in the position to bring others up, you're spending too much time with those that are bringing you down. So you have to learn when to give and take. I don't keep people around me that bring me down. That doesn't mean I don't associate with them. My whole job, my whole life, my whole being is to associate with other people who need my help, to inspire them, to motivate them, to lift them up, to encourage them. That's who I am, and that's who the Lord made me. But that's not the people that I keep in my corner 24/7. That's not what I'm listening to all the time. That's not what I'm feeding my brain. Unfortunately, my mother and I have a very toxic relationship. Her and I are not the same person. We are very much opposite people. She's a very, very negative, pessimistic person. We have come to the point where our conversations may only last so long until there's too much negativity. And I say, okay, I gotta go, love you, bye. I just don't deal with it. And it doesn't mean I don't love her. It doesn't mean I don't respect her. It just means that I refuse to have that in my life. I refuse to allow negativity and pessimism and anyone who will talk down, even if they don't mean to, because most people don't even mean to.
Yeah.
My mother, she does not mean to. 9 times out of 10, she's coming from a place of concern. Oh, don't do this, you're going to get hurt. Oh, be careful about this. You know, things like that. She's coming from a motherly place of love, so I don't want to speak bad about her. It's just a completely different way of thinking. And I just have to respect that that's who she is and allow her to be who she is, but that doesn't mean I have to accept it in my life. So reevaluating your circle and your people, and then maybe pruning out. I like that term. Sometimes you got to go, you know, pick out the weeds. Sometimes you have to prune yourself, you know? So recognizing what it is that you're allowing in your life, in your mind, and who's around you can make all the change in the world.
Yeah. I just love it. I literally could talk to you for ages. What do you think would be, what's next for you? What's next? What's the main goal? Because you've got so much going on. You've got the fitness, your the business as well, and then your own goals and drive. What's kind of the next big thing or focus for you, or maybe all 3 or all of them? Or
politics.
Okay.
The next thing for me is politics, and I don't know where I want to start. I don't know if I want to start in local government. I don't know if I want to run for a national office. I really don't know. But I know that the Lord put it on my heart, and it excites me, and why not? Someone's got to hold that office. Why can't it be me?
Yeah, I love it. I really am grateful for your time, and that's the biggest thing I am with people, is that I really appreciate their time, and it inspires me. And like you say, especially that network piece and who you have around you and that energy. I guess it's people that get you buzzing, isn't it? And that like the attitude that like where you doubt yourself and it's like, I can do this, I'm gonna go for it. doesn't always show up as much as we want it to, I guess, at times, unless maybe I need to challenge myself that you have to put yourself in those arenas, don't you?
Right.
But yeah.
Absolutely. I'm so grateful that we had this time to talk and that you invited me here, because I thoroughly enjoy speaking to others and sharing the things that I know can help them, because it's good for me to hear it too.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate that. I think it's great. And I like the fact that I can network with people now and see different things. I think it opens my world to what else is out there, and challenge myself as well, but to a next level. And sometimes, like I say about the fitness, that maybe I don't want that, but I do want to keep going. And I think there's a difference I've noticed of working with maybe that, well, I've always been with men as kind of personal trainers and fitness. And I think like I said to you, one lady nutritionist, and it's kind of opened my world a bit more in terms of, like you say, going on a different journey of really uncover what's going on and tapping into that as a female. It's very, very different.
Yes,
different.
100%. And I don't want to be prejudiced against men or women, or for men or for women, but you have to find a coach that's right for you. Yeah. And some women like to work with men more than they like to work with women. Some women prefer to work with women, etc. All the way around, however many different scenarios you can bring up. But don't be afraid that if a coach isn't right for you, that to speak up and say that, because you're just going to waste everyone's time and everyone will get frustrated. So I don't accept all clients that apply to work with me. I have a discovery call with them, and I tell them, by the end of the call, whether I think that they would be a good fit for my program or not. And if not, that's okay too. I have other resources for people, but I'm not going to waste anyone's time. And I would say that for yourself as a coach, if you ever feel like you're more invested in your clients' goals than they are, you're not they're not ready for you yet. Yeah. And that's okay.
Oh, thank you. Where can people find you, Lisa? I'm conscious that they reach out, because I did.
Yeah, I'm on Facebook and Instagram, Lisa Bodenburg, Bodenburg. And you can also email me, lisa.bodenburg@gmail.com. My website is libertybellfitness.com. But I encourage people to reach out to me on social media, because I want to know who you are. Yeah. Reach out to me. I feel I'm human and I'm here to serve you.
I love that. Thank you.
A huge thank you to Lisa for joining myself on my podcast, and to you as well for listening. I do hope it offered some value for you to take away some bits today, even if it's just a couple of nuggets, that's a win. So as before, please join us on Lisa Bodenburg and Natalie Potts Coaching Facebook groups. Get involved, get clarity on your ideas, be with like-minded people, start taking action on what you want to do in life and those goals. So as always, have a great day, a great week, and I'll catch you soon.